fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news and high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. Thanks for joining us. Back in our sound room tonight, it's TK, and filling in for the vacationing Heavy D is our old buddy Ross. He's back there out in Studio R, of course. It's Covey and Kearns back again for another week. Ken, an exciting time of the year. We're into May. Going to be talking league races tonight. We got tournament action to talk about. All kinds of fun.
Yes, we do, Craig. A lot of fun action tonight. We've got postseason. We've got regular season. We're looking for league champions. We're looking for sectional champions. A lot of competitive baseball, softball going on right now. Track is starting to wind down as well. And really looking forward, Craig, for our interview tonight. We're going to go over to Bradford and talk to Shon Schaffer, the head coach of the Bradford Railroaders, Craig. He's got his Roaders in first place in the CCC, the very tough conference over there, led by freshman standout pitcher, Craig. Really looking forward to talking to Shon, see what he has to say about his team and what makes the Railroaders go this year.
Yeah, they're playing very well right now. Looking forward to talking to him. But before we do that, Ken, just like we do here every week on the show, we have our poll question. And what do you have for the viewers tonight?
Craig, when we're talking about some baseball this year, which one of these teams with a losing record is the most dangerous in the tournament? Is it Botkins? Is it Bradford, Jackson Center, or Riverside?
I know we talked a little bit about this last week, and for good choices there. Losing records don't mean anything come tournament time.
Nope, it sure don't. Craig, if you got it one workhorse there on the mound for you and a good catcher and a decent infield, you can cause a lot of problems.
Absolutely. Well, listen, if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page on your phones or your computers, you can scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco, cable TV, TK is going to have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, let's get things started and get right to it. I know we wanted to talk some league races, and especially that Shelby County Athletic League. A lot going on there right now. Let's take a quick look at the standings here. Tell me what's happening.
Well, Craig, just like we predicted before the season started, the top three teams would be Rushiana and Fort Loramie, and right on, we got it again. Just like it was last year, Craig. Last year, these three teams finished in a three-way tie. Coach Flippo and his Raiders had a huge win the other night on the road at Anna, a battle of division leaders there, Craig. Russia came out on top. They've got 3 league games to go, Craig, but right now the Raiders sitting at 8-1, Anna at 9-2, and Fort Loramie at 7-2, Craig. So it's a 3-team race right now. Russia and Loramie are the only game left there between the 3 schools in a head-to-head matchup. So a lot of things to happen, but Coach Flippo and his Raiders sitting in pretty good position right now, Craig, with only 1 league loss.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Anna, with that tough loss against Russia the other night. Of course, they bounce back tonight, play Houston, and hanging right in there. So they're within striking distance. So Russia's definitely going to have to earn it if they want to hang on to that sole possession of first place. But not to get ahead of ourselves a little bit, but let's get ahead of ourselves a little bit here and talk a little tournament action. Tournament draw happened on Sunday. Want to take a look at that Southwest District, that Dayton 3, Dayton 4. Let's go through that real quick, Ken. Tell me what you see in those 2 brackets.
Well, Craig, well-deserving. Russia Raiders got the number 1 seed, Craig. They take the bye, as most teams do in baseball. Lehman Cavaliers got the 3 seed, Craig. They jumped up into the Raiders bracket. Those 2 teams met in a sectional final battle last year, and it was a classic, Craig. Russia ended up winning the game in like 9 or 10 innings, so great baseball game there. Russia awaits the winner of Riverside and Farallon. I look for Lehman and Russia most likely to reach the finals there, but Craig, there's a team out there. I talked about them last week, Jackson Center. They got a very good pitcher. They got a decent infield. They got a good catcher. So if they throw off in that first game against Covington, which I think they will, they're going to test Lehman. They're going to give Lehman a good battle. As will Russia and, Riverside Fairlawn winner there. You can't take anything for granted in baseball, so you got to bring your best every night.
All right, let's take a look at that Dayton 4 bracket. What do you see there, Ken?
Well, Craig, when you look at that bracket, you got the 2 seed, the Redskins, and the 4 seed, the Triad Cardinal. I think those two teams right there, Craig, they're going to step right out to the sectional finals. I don't see either one of the teams there in the preliminary rounds that are going to be competitive. Although Mississinawa Valley's got a nice record this year, Craig. I seen the other night they played somebody, got whipped up on pretty good. So, I question the caliber of competition they've played this year. So look for Fort Laramie Triad to play in a sectional final there.
Let me ask you something real quick. I noticed, Rushi with the number 1 seed, and then Laramie with the number 2 seed goes in the other bracket. Lehman with the number 3 seed. Sometimes you see them jumping with that 2 seed. They jump in Rushi's bracket. That surprised you at all?
No, not really. Craig, I think it's just a matter of who the coach wishes to play there. He made Coach King over there at Lehman, Craig. He might just be looking at a little revenge factor from last year. Lehman had a great baseball team last year. He might think, hey, I'm going to jump in that Russia bracket and take my chances for the second year in a row. Russia, Laramie, both great baseball teams, flip a coin, and same with Lehman and Triad. So 4 great baseball traditional schools right there, Craig. In baseball, anything can happen.
Yeah, like we said, a lot of fun stuff going on. League races going on. Tournament action coming up next week. All that's going to be going on at the same time. So looking forward to all that. Let's talk a little softball now. And for that, let's go out to Studio R, check in with Covey and Kearns and guys talking baseball here, talking about league races and tournament action. Want to do the same thing with you in that Shelby County Athletic League. Not quite as close as it is in baseball, but let's go through that real quick, and then we'll talk a little tournament after that.
Yeah, I think the standings is put into motion tonight. All the Raiders got to do is get one more win, and they should here in their next 3 games to clinch the outright league title. With Anna falling to Houston tonight, I think the final score was maybe 6-2, I think. And Anna lost. They struggled the other night against the Raiders, lost 13-2 in a run rule. We saw this Anna team be very competitive at the beginning of the season, almost knocking off Russia on them on the edge of their heels at their own home field.
Yeah, I agree. Rushi's taking definitely a commanding lead and will probably win the league if they did. They just need one more game to win and they'll have it outright. But yeah, the first time Anna and Russia played together, it was a lot more competitive game. I believe they won in extra innings, but this time around, Russia just had the better hitting that night and won on a run rule.
Yeah, and even though the Raiders are the league champs, they come in as the 6th seed here in this super sectional, kind of similar to what you see in the fall for volleyball. And they chose a tough path. They chose the Newton Indians, who they just recently played. Lost 2-1 in that game. It was a close game. I think it was at the Newton Cancer Classic. I think Newton is the favorite here, even though the Raiders can have a nice, solid pitching performance by Grace Saunders, who I think will be the SCL Player of the Year. I think the Raiders can give the Indians a tough battle, but I think Newton will be the favorite, and they should advance out of the sectional.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that. Newton, just with the kind of tradition that they have over there, they have a great team, and they're definitely deserving of that number 1 seed. And Russia did take a tough path of going into their sectional, and it'll be a great game, no doubt, at Bradford on that Tuesday night. But I see Newton coming out on top as well.
And next we have the Sydney 2 bracket. We have 2 teams that just locked horns the other week: Tri-County North and Bradford. And we're going to have Bradford's coach on here soon, led by the stud Skip Miller. Tri-County North won 2-1 actually again. That same score comes up. Bradford, I think, came up on the losing end, even though Bradford's in the lead for the CCC. I think they'll get their revenge here. They have a decent amount returning from last year's team who gave Russia a challenge early on in the sectionals. But I think Bradford with Skip Miller is just the X factor here. And being her as a freshman, we'll have 3 more years to see what she can do. And I think she's definitely a D1 athlete.
Absolutely. She's made noise just in her freshman year so far. She's making headlines left and right. And with the kind of team that they have right now, they've been playing great so far this whole year. I see them coming out of the sectional as well.
And now we got the Sydney 3 bracket coming up here. Kind of surprised actually to see not a team like the Raiders want to take this bracket going into Newton. But I like what the aggressive move Coach Mullenkamp made by going into Newton's bracket. But we can see here that Mechanicsburg, who was led by Maya Mayo, their pitcher last year, I think she graduated, won 6-0 over the Raiders in the sectional finals last year. Should be able to come out of their bracket, but watch out for the Fort Laramie Redskins. This team might be a 10 seed. They're 500, but they beat Versailles the other night. They gave the Raiders a run for their money, took them to 11 innings. This is a team that can definitely, if you need them in a one-game situation to win, they can do it over there.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with. I don't really understand why the Raiders didn't take this. Maybe it was too many teams that are just your average team, and maybe they just have one good night and are feeling it in the tournament and could just knock you off. Maybe they didn't want to take that chance. Maybe they just wanted to take that one big game in the sectional, like playing Newton. But yeah, Mechanicsburg, I think they'll see Covington or Lorme, and Covington or Lorme will definitely give them a game on that Tuesday as well. But I could see possibly Lorme or Covington coming out on top. They're definitely the underdog, but Mechanicsburg will probably come out.
And the last region we have here is NWCC champion Riverside. We also have Franklin Monroe, who's a solid team. They played very tightly with the Raiders as well. The other teams in the area, I don't think I have a whole lot of softball tradition here, so I think it's a pretty obvious matchup here between the Pirates of Riverside and the Jets of Franklin Monroe. I'm going to put the NWCC champs getting through this sectional in Riverside. They run-ruled Houston. I think this is a solid all-around team with a great softball tradition up there in Riverside, and they should advance out of this sectional.
I'd absolutely agree. Franklin Monroe gave Russia a pretty tough battle in their doubleheader earlier in the season. I think Russia split it with them, and also Riverside having a great tradition, but I can see Riverside coming out on top in that sectional as well.
And that's all we have from Studio R. Back to you guys.
Great stuff, guys.
Yeah, that's, they talked about Russia maybe not going in some of those brackets. We're going to be talking about the CCC here in just a little bit, Kent, and, it doesn't matter where you go. There are CCC teams sprinkled in all those brackets, and they all scare me.
Yeah, they're all good, Craig. Great softball conference over there in the CCC. Really looking forward to talking to the head coach of the Bradford Railroaders here just real soon. But, sometimes I think, Craig, when these coaches choose their bracket, they also look at their district championship game, and they think, okay, can we beat this team? And if we do, then we got a lot easier path in the district finals than we would if we played this other team. So, there's more to it than just looking at the teams in your individual bracket. And I think that's what Coach Molenkamp did when she chose that particular one.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a little pause in our softball talk. We're going to talk some more softball after the break. Like you said, we're going to have the coach Shon Schaffer from the Bradford Railroaders on the show here in just a second. But we'll take a short break. We'll come right back, and we'll talk to Coach Schaffer here in just a minute. And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking some baseball and a little softball. We're going to continue our softball talk, Ken, and I want to talk about that CCC. Haven't talked about them a whole lot this year. It's a little hard keeping track of standings, I know, with cancellations and postponements and rescheduled games, but let's take a look at the CCC from what we have, and let's look at the standings here.
Well, Craig, Newton's sitting up top there at 10-1, followed right behind by Arcanum, Tri-County North, and Bradford. all within striking distance there of the Indians. And, like we said, we've talked about this conference before, Craig, in softball. Traditionally very, very, very strong. The Shelby County League has some good teams. The MAC has some good teams. But when you look at local softball leagues, you got to start with the CCC, Craig, and it's no different this year. And Coach, we're going to be talking to Coach Schaffer here in just a few minutes, and he's going to let us know all about it.
I got a chance to get over there last week and watch their game against Tri-County North. Unfortunately, it was a game that Bradford lost, but a lot of fun watching those teams and a CCC battle there. And, of course, one big reason for their success over there at Bradford is their head coach, Shon Schaffer, been there for 5 years now. Happy to have him live on the phone. Coach Schaffer, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, we were just going through those CCC standings, and I was telling Ken and our viewers how hard it is to keep track of the standings with postponements, cancellations. I think you're supposed to have a game tonight with Piqua that got canceled, but you played last night against Covington. So can you help us out here? How did the game against Covington go, and what's your record sitting at right now?
Currently, we're sitting at 16-2, and last night that was a special game. We pulled out a victory, my first victory against Covington, 10-5. Played really well. We had a couple shaky moments, but our freshman Skip Miller pitched a good 7 innings and came out on top.
Well, listen, a lot of question marks coming into this season. Last year, or this year, I guess you graduated a 4-year letterman out in center field. You graduated some 3-year letterman at shortstop, third base, and pitcher. A lot of key spots there, Coach. Are you surprised that you're sitting at 16-2 right now?
Well, I guess I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't be surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised about the way the season started. Plugging 3 freshmen into starting roles, got to be a little wary at first with that, but they're playing really well. Had to move Bailey from second to shortstop and move a couple other girls around, but things are looking good.
Coach, hi, this is Ken. Let's talk a little bit about Bailey, and that's Bailey Weissong, of course, the starting shortstop for the Raiders. One of the seniors on the team. How important is she to your defense up the middle?
Oh, she's. I can't say enough about Bailey. She's our emotional leader. Not just physically on the field, but in the dugout. She's been with us since a freshman with that kind of energy and that kind of attitude. The girls, she's like a rock. Girls just lean on her, and I tell you what, she's a special player, and I feel she loves the game as much as I do. I mean, physical attributes aside, she honestly loves the game.
Coach, when you talk Bradford softball this year, a lot of the discussion seems to always start with a freshman, and that's freshman Skip Miller. Very unusual that the talk on a varsity team would start out with a freshman, but in your case it does. What has made this freshman sensation so good? How has she progressed? How has she gotten so good and strong at just such a young age for your Rotor team?
I've never seen anybody work as hard as Skip works. She's unbelievable. I can't even put into words the type of competitor, the type of attitude she has. She feels like when she steps out on the field, she is the best player, and with the attitude comes the physical ability, which as a freshman is unbelievable. That she has the woman's strength, if you will, as a freshman. She puts it all together, and then I think, well, she is only a freshman. I got 3 more years of this, and I just shake my head.
Well, that's always a good feeling when your star pitcher is only a freshman, I'm sure. So let's talk a little bit about the tournament draw. You got the number 3 seed behind the number 2 seed, Tri-County North, and number 1, the Newton Indians there. All 3 CCC teams, did that drawing surprise you a little bit, the way the seeds shook out there, or are you happy with the 3 seed and the strength of the CCC obviously showed off there in the drawing?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I kind of thought we would be. Well, I kind of figured we would be, seeing how we lost against them two teams. But yeah, it not only are they in our conference, we've got to face them throughout the sectional too. So no, it's a brutal conference to play in. But I think it makes, as long as we can stay away from each other, I think it represents our conference well to go through the sectional like that.
Coach, we've talked a lot about CCC softball and the strength of that particular league. Let's look at some of the other leagues in the area, or in particular some of the other schools in the area that you've played, say out of the Shelby County League or out of the MAC. Who do you feel has given you a good competition this year? Hello?
Sounds like we lost Coach there. Maybe we can get him back on the line there. But yeah, they, like I said, I got a chance to watch them the other night. You talked about Bailey Wysong and Skip Miller. Watched them play against Tri-County North, and those two girls definitely. You talked about Bailey Wysong in the field. She does play a very solid shortstop, but also very good at the plate too. And they've got a number of girls on there. Some, I think, about 4 or 5 seniors on that team, along with a half a dozen freshmen there, Ken. So yeah, you like that senior leadership, some of those veteran players, but you also got some freshmen. You got to work in the mix there. And they're a team that's got a little bit of everything right now. So and a team that Russia saw last year, not all the same players, but a team that Russia saw last year in tournament and had their hands full with.
Yeah, they did. And you look at their freshman class, Craig. I know they're very talented in basketball, so they got some athletes over there in that Bradford freshman class, and they're showing it on the softball diamond as well. So it'll be real interesting to see how they do in the tournament run this year with those freshmen. Sometimes it's tough when you don't have all that older upperclassmen. But you said they actually got a nice blend. They got several seniors. They got a lot of freshmen to blend in there with them. So I think they got a chance to make a good tournament run.
Yeah, quick Skip Miller story. We're talking about her a little bit, the pitcher. She actually a very good athlete altogether, a very good cross-country runner. Saw her in the district tournament and actually advanced, was good enough to get to the regionals, and then get to the regional meet there in Troy, and no Skip Miller. And I'm like, where's Skip at? And she was one of 2 Bradford runners that qualified for the regional. And someone said, well, she's at a softball camp. And so how tough it is. You've been around cross country. How tough it is to get to the regional, and probably was good enough to get to state. And here she didn't even go to the regional meet because she had a softball camp. So where her priorities are at.
That's right. Well, she's a good one. So, but like you said, they got a great program over there, and not sure what happened to the coach over there. We kind of lost connection with him, and having trouble getting him back on the phone here, Craig. So I hate that. We were having a great interview there with Coach Schaffer, and something just went haywire on us.
Well, I want to go back to something. Maybe let's talk about, we mentioned how we had league races going on right now and tournament action going on as well. I know in baseball, you've got this, you're playing important league games during tournament games, and next year hopefully this will change a little bit because they're moving things back, or they're changing things a little bit next year.
They're moving everything back a week, Craig. They're actually, I think, starting the same time, but they're giving you a whole extra week to plan to get games in. So they're moving all the tournament settings back a week from the sectional, the district, the regional, and the state baseball and softball tournaments. So I think it's a good idea, Craig. I know there was some mixed voting going on in there as to whether or not they should do it or not, but I don't have a problem with it. I think it allows the athletic directors, the teams, the coaches to get more games in that way, because this year sure was a rough spring to get started in.
Yeah, and it's going to come into play with, in particular, we were talking about the SCAL tonight. Russia Laramie still has that matchup going on, and that's right in the middle of the tournament, isn't it? I mean, that's going to be how you do your pitching, or how you pitch that is going to be kind of there's going to be some strategy involved there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Russia and Laramie will both play a tournament game next Wednesday. And then the very next night on Thursday, they'll play a Shelby County League, big Shelby County League game, Craig. So, and then Russia follows that up Friday night with another Shelby County League game. So, busy week next week for baseball and softball, Craig. And it's just it's that time of year, and when you have all those rainouts early in the year, that's what early May ends up being, is extremely busy from a baseball and softball perspective.
And help me out a little bit here. I know we were looking at those tournament brackets, and I saw where one of the sectional final games was at Bradford. That first round, that first 2 rounds, a little different than basketball. You play, you know where you're playing your basketball games at. For example, we play at Piqua, but in softball, baseball, it's a little different. You play at the best teams host the games, or
in the first and second round only does the higher seed host the team. So looks like we got Coach Schaffer back on the phone again, Craig. So Coach, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but I wanted to ask you real quick. Other than the CCC, we talk a lot of Shelby County League. We talk a lot of MAC sports over here. Who have you played that's been really tough on your schedule this year, other than your conference games?
We played a doubleheader up there in Minster last weekend, and played 2 really nice schools that played us within a run, and those are always good to have. Played Russia. Grace pitched a heck of a game, and we came out on top 2-1 on that game, and then played Minster, and it wasn't for Alyssa Martinez hitting a solo home run in the 5th inning, we might still be playing. It was 2-2 at the time, and we pulled that one out 3-2.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Coach, I know we're talking about your team this year, but I want to ask you about a former player of yours. I just saw a former player made the news, and that is Tori Smith. She actually graduated back in 2016, played for you back then, but she's playing now for Edison Community College. They just started up their softball program this past year, and have you talked to Tori in a while? How's she doing?
I talked to Tori last softball season, and she was doing fine. She said something about wanting to do that, and Coach King called me up and put some feelers out there, and he got her on board, and I couldn't be more excited for what he's got. She's a really nice athlete, and she'll do fine over there.
Coach, hey, listen, that's all great stuff. And, from the Fish Report guys here, we want to tell you best of luck the rest of the season and in that tournament run for you this year. I've got one more question, though, before I let you go. And
okay.
Us Fish Report guys over here, we're big eaters, okay? And so a few weeks ago, I had to bring them out for breakfast, and I brought them to my favorite breakfast hangout, and that's right there in Bradford called the Train Stop. I got to ask you ever been to the Train Stop?
Oh, many times.
Oh,
many times. You can get a lot of food cheap there.
Biscuits and gravy? Are you kidding me?
Oh, I know. I'm telling you.
So, well, listen, I tell you what, we go there quite frequently, but maybe we'll go there and sometime we'll hook up and we'll talk some more softball. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
All right. We'll meet you there sometime. Biscuits and gravy on us. How's that?
There we go.
All righty, Coach. Well, listen, you take care.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Yep.
Coach.
Bye.
Yeah. When I was at the train stop there, I had breakfast there, Ken. I didn't have to eat the rest of the day.
Oh, no, it's great. Yeah, you get everything for like $5. I mean, so here's free advertising for the Train Stop in Bradford. If you're hungry and you love breakfast, head over there. You can't beat it.
All right. Fish Report recommends it, that's for sure.
That's
and
right.
glad we got Coach back on the phone there. Good talking with him. And that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Do want to say special thanks to Shon Schaffer for joining us on the show. Do have one more thing to get to, though, and that is tonight's poll question. Don't want to forget about that. Let's check in with him back in the sound room there. We've got Ross filling in for Heavy D and TK back there. And, guys, good job getting Coach Schaffer back on the phone. Not sure exactly what happened there, but thanks for getting him back on the horn there.
Yeah, not sure. Kept dialing and kept working it. It was one of those things, the magic of technology these days. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, you guys did a great job. Ross, you got anything to add back there?
Not much.
Not much. Go Reds, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, so our trivia question or our poll question tonight was which of the teams here in baseball with a losing record can be most dangerous in the tournament run? Is it Botkins, Bradford, Jackson Center, or Riverside? TK, what are they saying back there?
It's a clean sweep, and all the viewers agree with us. And Jackson Center with some fine pitching and a nicely developing infield, good catching. So that's a team that everybody should be pretty careful around. You gotta get ready for that one. You can't just look past it.
That's right.
I'm guessing that was your pick too, Ken.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks for that, guys. Good stuff. And again, thanks to Coach Shon Schaffer for joining us tonight. Thanks to the viewers out there for tuning in. Ken and I and the whole crew, we're going to be back again next week, same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report.